All right, guys, let's get started. Apologies for running a little bit late. I know Toastmasters try to run on time, but then everybody's late. So.
Well, that's only if you're on Young and Shepherd.
Yeah, exactly. I was the first one here. So.
But you live here.
Yeah, I'm the first one here, last one to leave. So you can't.
So you're the boss.
Can't complain about that. So, well, we'll get going today. We have lots of stuff lined up. So I want to keep stuff moving. We set up the theme to be pathways today, as our guests, our pathway ambassadors, are here to show us the new education program. So we're excited to see that after the break. But I'll keep my comments short, and we'll welcome our timer to explain her role. Let's welcome Naka. Let's unmute. Sorry, give me a second, Naka. Hey, Donna? Okay, yeah, Donna, we're starting meeting. Just hold on. I just want to let you know we can hear you. Okay, Naka, come up.
I was hoping for that handshake.
Oh, yes.
Good evening, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and I'm not sure we have any welcome guest because, I mean any guest which I would like to welcome because I was one of them and it feels wonderful to feel welcome, so special welcome. My name is Danka and tonight I'm honored to be your timer. Thank you for spending your precious time here because I understand, I believe that we are all very busy in our lives, and the time that you spend here, I believe it's very, very valuable, and every one of you find it useful and pleasant as well, so welcome. What exactly will I be doing tonight? I will be timing speeches of individual speakers, so today it will be Carl, and I will also time the evaluation that will be given by Perky. Oh, sorry, Mike? Hello, Mike. So Mike will be giving evaluation. I will be timing your speech as well. And I would, as a timer, have the role to also time table topics participants, but I understand that we don't have it on the agenda today. So. At the end, I will share summary of how speakers were doing as per timing. So give the overall evaluation of time in terms of timing. Thank you and enjoy your time here.
Up next, we have our grammarian. Yes, welcome, Perkin.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster, and the most welcome guest. So, as the grammarian of today, so we have our word of the day, which we try to use it as much as possible for tonight. And since our theme is to discover pathways as a presentation, I use the word discover, which is quite easy. But in this case, I would like to say something. So. Some of the example of using discover is basically something like this. Along with antimatter and dark matter, we recently discover the existence of it doesn't matter, which appears it has no effect to the universal whatsoever. So try to use it as much as you can. Okay? So basically, to use the word of the day, discover, as much as possible. And also, I will also catch any kind of filler words, and hopefully I can catch my own filler words as well throughout the meeting, and we can all improve upon it. So that's about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Perkin. Now we have our laugh counter. Let's welcome Paris.
Thank you, Ken. Hello, Toastmasters and welcome guests. Tonight I'll be playing the role of laugh counter, where I'll be keeping the track of all the laughs that you, since we are the club of humorously speaking, so I'm expecting a lot of laughs tonight from the speeches that you guys are going to give. So I'm going to be keeping the record of all the laughs, any kind of groans, gasps, or so, and I'll be delivering the report at the end of the speeches. Thank you.
who's next? Okay, then we have the humor tip of the day. Let's welcome Roberto.
Thank you. I almost feel like he discovered me. Is it discovered or discovered?
Discover.
All right. How many of you were here the last meeting we had? Only 3? Okay, good. For a humor tip, before I get into today's, I'd like to very quickly review the ones I gave before because each one is important in its own merit. And those of you that have been here before, do you remember what was the number 1 humor tip I gave you?
Never offend anybody.
That's right. Never put anybody down, never embarrass anybody, never make fun of anybody except yourself or third parties, but nobody in the audience ever. Never hurt anybody's feelings, in other words, right? Number 2, what was the humor tip? Number 2. It starts with P. Places. Wherever you are, whenever you are somewhere, pay attention. We are talking about humor. Pay attention where you are so you can pick up something that is funny and then you write it down and you can use it at some future date. And don't trust your memory to remember. I gave you the example when I was in a restaurant, there were funny signs. So I wrote down what it said and then I used it, right? Number 3, what was humor tip number 3?
Carry pen and paper.
Always have a pen and paper. Or like somebody said, write it digitally. These days, you know, like my kids and your kids and whoever, they don't write anymore, right? Like I always write. But even if you can carry a pen and a paper because you might encounter some situation that, again, could be used in your speeches for humor or even not for humor, but humor is better. So you can write it down. Number 4, you know it?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Pay attention to circumstances.
Circumstances. Pay attention. If you're crossing the street and something funny happens, or if you're in a restaurant, or if you're in the movie theater, pay attention to where you are. Be aware of your surroundings. And in that way, again, my suggestion is always write it down so you can use it. Because if you're planning to speak or to give speeches or whatever you do when it comes to delivering, but especially with humor, I always suggest to write down the humor stuff. And number 5, which is what I'm going to do today, and I'm going to demonstrate it. It's called, and if you can write it down, if you don't have the previous 4, it's called use of body language. When you do humor, you have to use your body language. And I always tell the same if you're a musician, a singer, let's say. Have you seen the 3 tenors? I think I mentioned this the last time. You know the 3 tenors, Pavarotti, Carreras, and Plácido Domingo, right? Those are the 3 tenors. And Plácido Domingo and Carreras are from Spain. So when they sing, they use body language and they use the emotion. But for some reason, Pavarotti, he sang absolutely beautiful, right? But when he sings, he always stands like this. And he sings, but his arms are always down. He didn't use his body language much. But his voice was so good that it didn't matter. So to give you a practical demonstration of body language, I never told you, and will be new for Ken too, what was my very, very first job in Canada. I came many, many years ago. Many of you were not even born yet. So when I came to Canada, my English sucked. It was really bad, more than now. So it was really bad. So I had to get a job in anything. And I went restaurant to restaurant applying for a job. Do you have a job? Nothing, nothing, nothing. I got rejected a lot of times. And finally, I am looking for a job in Scarborough, and I see the zoo. So I said, I'm going to go to the zoo to see if they have a job for me. So I go to the zoo and I said, do you happen to have any job for me? I'm a newcomer, I need to work. I need to send money to my mother and my brother and sister. So he looks at me and says, well, the only opening we have is in the gorilla cage because the gorilla died. So we have a suit that you can put on and pretend you're a gorilla, pretend you're a monkey. I said, what? Say, yeah, you just put the suit, the head, it's actually a real beautiful gorilla suit, and all you do is go, and then there is a big rope, and you pretend, no, not pretend, actually, you go from one end of the cage to the other with the rope, you know, like, how do you call it, swing. And then again go on the floor and eat a banana, and again go, So kids think there is a monkey in the zoo, right? So when they walk in, the children imagine in that cage instead of being empty. So I said, okay, I'll take it, right? I had to get a job. So here I go into the cage, put my monkey suit and the And I really looked like a gorilla, like a small gorilla, right? Because I'm a small guy. So there I am, my first day. So here I am in the cage. Parents, mothers, kids are coming. So here I go and go, and the kids look, right? And I eat my banana. Then I go to the rope and I swing from one end of the cage to the other, and from one end of the cage to the other. Day 2, day 3, day 4. You realize what I'm doing, right? I'm using body language. Not just body language, but facial expression. Very important, both. So a week goes by, and I'm really comfortable now. I'm actually enjoying it. I like being a monkey. So the week 2, I'm doing my usual stuff, eating my banana, and I'm swinging, but I'm swinging a little bit fast. And all of a sudden, I swing and I land in the next cage. And I look at the cage, at the very end of the cage, there was a lion. The lion was sleeping, but when I landed, the lion woke up. And he stood up and he just looked at me. And I'm scared. I'm holding on to the bars, and the lion stands up, and one foot, right? Then the other, and starts getting close to me. And I started screaming, I'm not a monkey, I'm not a monkey, I'm a human. Please help. And the lion keeps getting closer and closer. And finally, he's right in front of me. And I scream again, I'm not a monkey, I'm a human, help. And the lion looks at me and says, shut up, you jerk, or they'll fire us both. So that was my first job in Canada. Is that 5 minutes?
No, it's okay. It was good.
Is that enough?
All right. You good?
Next time I'll tell you my second job.
All right. Good.
All right, I'll leave the suspense. The second job was even funnier.
Awesome, man. Thanks, yeah. That was a tip to remember. All right, so now we get to move on to our speaking section, and we're delighted to welcome Carl, who's going to give his 10th speech, which marks his CC destination. So we're excited about that. And for that, his evaluator, I think Mike, will introduce the speech.
Thank you very much, Ken. This is Carl's 10th speech from the manual of the Competent Communicator, and it's inspire your audience. The objectives for Carl in this speech are to inspire the audience by appealing to noble motives and challenging the audience to achieve higher levels of belief or achievement. Appeal to the audience's needs, emotions using stories, anecdotes, and quotes to add drama, and also to avoid using notes, which I'm sure Carl will be able to do. The time, our timekeeper will be 8 to 10 minutes. So please show the green at 8 minutes, the yellow at 9, and the red at 10.
7, 9, 10.
7, 9, 10?
He wants a special lighting system, so.
Okay. In that case, the green at yellow, the green at 7, the yellow at 9, and the red at 10. And with that,
What's the speech title?
Oh, my apologies. The speech title is, What Do We Have in Common? Okay. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Carl with What Do We Have in Common? What do we have in common? Carl.
I tell you one thing, to follow Roberto is a lost cause because he took all the thunder, okay? But doesn't matter.
Don't tell me you were a monkey too.
Oh yeah, always, at night or whatever. My title is, What Do We Have in Common? And I'm referring to this group. Just look around, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Just look around, and can you tell me, what do we have in common? Just short answer.
We are all nice.
Excellent. We are all alive. Another one. And anything else?
We are all Toastmasters.
Yes, we are all Toastmasters if we pay our annual dues. Otherwise, we are not. Yeah. Now, I have one more, and that is and I think it applies to all of us, simply we are all migrants. I'm not saying immigrants, we are migrants, okay? So let's talk about migration. Could we have, maybe we will, migration. What, yeah, your mom drives me crazy, fine, we move. That's how human migration started. But in nature, there is constant migration and constant immigration. So for example, birds. Why do birds fly south for the winter? Because it's too far to walk. There is a lot of migration, as I said, and so birds migrate, fish migrate, even trees migrate. You might think, well, how trees they cannot walk? Well, they, with their seeds and with help of wind and with the help of birds, for example, they take it and they drop it on somebody's windshield or something, but that's how they migrate. Now, even stones and mountains move. It is just a matter of time. It could be a billion years, but everything is moving. Now, what triggers migration? Migration has various reasons for us, for human animals, etc. It is change in weather conditions. Another one is lack of food, lack of water. That triggers a lot of movement. We have, for example, earthquakes. We have fires. We have diseases and that. All that triggers migration. Not only that, we have wars. And once I mention war, I have to include humans, because there is always war, always fighting for something. Why do humans move? Well, basically, they must. Everything is changing, so they must move, they must change, and they must adjust to new environment in order to survive. Number 2, please. Here is migration, human migration since the day one. Is this one, and this is world migration since 1500s. So details here. Based on our latest knowledge, we assume or we know that humanity originated in South Africa about 120,000 years BC. By year of 100,000, they moved what we call now Europe. Then they continued to Middle East, Far East, and finally about 50,000 BC they reach Australia. The other group, other branch, by 14,000 they reached Alaska, today's Alaska. By 2002, by 12,000 BC they reached Central America, and by 9,000 BC they reached the tip of South America. That's what scientists tell us. Now, why do I talk about that? Because those tribes, they were tribes, group of people, in order to survive, they have to group in order to chase food and etc. They followed, tribes followed food. So they constantly fought for something, because let's say there was something very nice in Middle East, and they would like to live there. They wanted to settle. But then other groups came and they were fighting. So there were fights all the time. Eventually, stronger tribes basically made it to the form of, let's say, kingdoms, and finally we got to the form of nation states. Why do I talk about that? Because nation states have laws, they have rules, they have political structures, and they have also borders. And borders are very important, as we know. So if you don't have borders, if you don't defend your borders, you don't have a country, really. So basically in past 500 years, those borders were becoming more and more important, because by 1500s, there were about 500 million people on the earth, estimates. Now, by the end of last century, there were 6+ billion of people. So you can imagine that as the world fills up, you have to have borders. And you have to have immigration and emigration. mentioning immigration, let's go to Canada. This year we celebrate sesquicentennial anniversary of Canada, which means 100 years of Canada. During this time, we moved from colony, and there were about 3 million people, to 35 million now, and Canada is a really shining example to all nation-state countries because of the system. Obviously, we are rich because of environment, etc., but the way we handle people, deal with people. So basically, we realize that we are all immigrants. Even First Nations, they came, they migrated. They were not, so they migrated to Canada, and it was, let's say, millennia, but they are migrants. Now, the beauty of 150,000 years, 150 years, is that because of that growth, we are all immigrants, and recent immigrants. This is just, all that happened relatively recently. So we basically have certain set of mind. Once we realize that we are all immigrants, all migrants, all immigrants, then we start to treat other people, other refugees who are coming in with open arms, let's say, or simply helping hand. But we realized that just recently we were one of them, frustrated, without a job, escapees, all sorts of things. So once we realize that we all came from somewhere, sometime, we start to be more kind. And I think Canadians are, compared to other countries. Like, I'm from Europe, and I know how some other countries sometimes handle it. So I would like to basically inspire you with the following. Can I have last page? Actually, I missed on that. This is what I wanted to show you. It would be more easier, but anyway, this is the growth of population, and we all came from somewhere, sometime, but I would like to inspire you with my message, and that is that in Canada, in multicultural society, tolerance, acceptance, and integration, underlining integration, is absolutely necessary in Canada, because immigration is the engine which drives our future prosperity, because as new people come in, they accept some jobs, for example, what, quote, old immigrants wouldn't do. So they are driving our living standards up and up. So therefore, I would like to inspire you with this. It is, in Canada, it is tolerance, acceptance, integration. And this is important for our future growth, and we need to be kind. That's my message.
Very nice. And we're in theme with our discovery of new lands and discover within ourselves as well. So we're very nice for that. And if you discover the art of knocking, and that would help with our grammarian of the day as well. Okay, so excellent. Let's take a few minutes. There is an evaluation sheet in front of each of you, most of you. Who doesn't have an evaluation sheet? You could get one. Give it to our guest as well. And I'll give you the staff. You guys take care of it. So once you fill it out, Carl would really appreciate if you can give it to him whenever, maybe after, at the break, or whenever is convenient. All right, let's keep going. You guys could finish up maybe at the break. We have our second humor tip today. I want to welcome Carl back on the stage.
I appreciate that you were able to squeeze me in because I did volunteer. Now, humor tip of the day is basically now really Roberto's domain.
That's okay, I share.
Yeah. So for example,
Kindness.
I
You just said
learned.
kindness.
Yes. I learned what I learned from Roberto lately. Never offend anybody. Pay attention to your surroundings. Always carry pen and pencil. Always pay attention to circumstances. You need circumstantial evidence, and use your body language. Now I like that body language. To play a monkey, you've done it very well. But I basically, tip of the day is good platform for us to share and exchange idea. That's really what it is. So my tip today is to describe outside of the club, outside our club competition. You know, what I experienced, because I represented our club in the speech contest for the first time, and therefore I experienced number of things, positive and negative. For example, and by the way, I have 5 of them. Okay, so I selected most appropriate speech for this occasion. Vocal variety, speech number 6. I won the contest. I asked Toastmasters for their opinion and improved my speech. I added more jokes. I prepared my props to visually introduce, connect, and I practiced it a lot, and I felt confident about my presentation. Number 2, I arrived to the location on time to install my props. And I was told, you are not registered. You know, like kind of thing, like, who are you? No, it was not that, it was nice, but I was not registered. So I had to do they did some damage control, etc. And therefore, my advice is, when you get to outside competition, basically call in advance, find out where it really is, that it's not a mistake and you go somewhere else, and if they really expect you, if you are really registered. Now, 3, speech delivery. I connected with audience using jokes. I invited them to sing. Everybody clapped hands and doing my song because they enjoyed it. It was great as atmosphere. I got positive feedback after the speech. Number 4, panel of judges decision. The song which I sang was, number 1, too long. Number 2, it was Beatles song, and therefore it should have been much shorter, because I don't know if it's infringements of trademark or whatever it is, but basically rules of panel of judges basically say, I should have make it shorter, and copyright rules. And then, because of that, I was disqualified. Now, my conclusion is, or my advice to you, is pay attention to the contest rules. Really, when they read something, don't ignore it, okay? Maybe I did. Number 2, review your speech contest that it is in agreement with contest rules. Time limits are strictly enforced. Even there is delivery area. For example, they say your area to deliver is this. So you have to know that, because there is such a competition that some Toastmasters would be ready to run around the room and something like that. If you do that, you are disqualified. And last one is, it's good to attend those competitions, even if you don't participate, if you're not competing, because you can learn a lot. I realized how good some Toastmasters are. Amazing, amazing. Now, obviously, they had a chance to practice it. I walked out and I even saw one Toastmaster getting ready. He was next. He was like that in that room. Like, I was walking to the washroom and he was there practicing, preparing himself. So really, some Toastmasters are very, competitive and very good. So I would suggest go and see it because you learn a lot. Thank you.
All right, now we are into the evaluation portion. Antoinette is going to lead us through that, so let's welcome.
Thank you, Head Toastmaster, fellow guests and Toastmasters. Today I'm honored to be your general evaluator, but before I start I would like to give you a quote that I recently discovered. It's a quote from my country in South Africa from Desmond Tutu. He said, instead of raising your voice, improve your argument. And that is something I would like to give to you today as a little gift for your pathway for Toastmasters to help you with your journey forward. And now I'm starting with the evaluation part. I'm going to call on the first evaluator, Mike, to give the feedback on Carl's speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests, especially Carl. Carl, thank you very much for that 10th speech. Congratulations. You're a competent communicator now. Let's hear it for Carl. And I think that was the best way to round off your competent communicator because I think it was a great speech. You came up here and you started off with some humor, you engaged the audience with some questions, you provided some slides that were quite detailed, and you spoke, and I felt like I was watching a university professor speak. You had that authority and that confidence. And you took advantage of the humor that you're learning from this club, which is great. So congratulations on that, a great 10th speech. But you were just speaking about going to club contests, so I'd like to offer you some suggestions that you can work on in the event that, I know that the international speech contests are around the corner, so if you'd like to apply this one to that contest, here's some suggestions I'd like to offer you. One thing that I noticed is that when you were speaking, there were portions of your speech where you had memorized, but you perhaps had to bring that back to memory. And in those situations, I noticed that you were kind of looking down a bit. Also, when you were presenting the slides, you were presenting us with your back and you were looking at the screen. And that's okay in our realm here, but if you want to take a speech contest, I think you would want to focus more on the eye contact. Make that eye contact, engage the audience so that they can feel your message. I felt I was, in terms of evaluating you in terms of the 10th speech objectives, I would have wanted to hear your call to action at the beginning of the speech. I understood that you were talking about migration, but I didn't know where you were going with that and why I should get emotionally invested in what you were speaking about until the very end when you showed it on the screen. So if you could have alluded to that at the beginning and kind of got us curious about what you're talking about, but at the same time, let us know the direction that you were going. I think that could make it a stronger speech. And the one final suggestion I'll make is great slides, but you had 3. I think that in 7 minutes, you have the opportunity to whip up a few more slides. So if there's something with a picture, just focus on that picture and put the words on another slide and flip to that. Or perhaps you don't even rely on the slides with the words and just speak to that. Because some people in the back, they might not be able to see the words anyways, and it'd be just easier. But these are technicalities. I just want to congratulate you. Congratulations on your 10th speech. You're a competent communicator now, and what a great way to go with a great speech. Very enjoyable. Thank you very much.
And he didn't use any notes whatsoever.
Yes, yes.
That was amazing.
I should have mentioned that.
Thank you, Mike. Now I'm calling on the joke master, Rokon.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I'm today's joke master. Okay, as a joke master, I
try to discover some jokes that I hope you will enjoy. Let's see how much I can make you laugh. Let's discover that. Okay, my try number 1. The teacher of the earth science class was lecturing on map reading. After explaining about latitude, longitude, degrees, and minutes, the teacher asked, suppose I asked you to meet me for lunch at 23 degrees, 4 minutes, north latitude, and 45 degrees, 15 minutes, east longitude. So calculate and tell me when we will meet for lunch. After a confused silence, someone replied, I guess you'd be eating alone. Okay, try number 2. Teacher is saying, here is a math problem. If your dad earned $1,000 a week and he gave your mother half, what should he have? The student replied, a heart attack. Okay, number 3. Teacher is asking, if you had $1 and you ask your father for another one, how many dollars would you have? The student replied, 1. The teacher said to him, you don't know your arithmetic. The student replied again, you don't know my father. Number 4. Mother is saying to her son, why did you get such a low mark on the test? Son is replying, because of absence. The mother is asking again, you mean you were absent on the day of the test? The son replied, no, but the kid who sits next to me was absent. Okay, number 5. George Washington, teacher is saying that George Washington not only chopped down his father's cherry tree, but also admitted it. Now, Tim, do you know why his father didn't punish him? Tim is replying, because George still had the axe on his hand. Okay. There is a very old joke about teacher and student. Teacher is asking why you were late in the class. The student was replying, because of a sign on the road. And that sign was saying, school ahead, go slow. So I would like to rephrase it for today. For example, Ken is asking me why you were late, why you were laughing, Rokan. I should have replied him, because I saw a sign down on the road. It's saying, humorously speaking club ahead, do laugh. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rukun. Now we are looking to Danka for the summary of the time report. Thank you, Tan. Thank you.
I always discover something in this club. That's wonderful. Carl, thank you so much for your speech. You were on time. Your speech, your actual time of your speech was 9 minutes 15 seconds. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for that. Mike, you also was very inspiring, and thank you for your evaluation. That was also something that we can learn from. Thank you. I'm sure Carl find it very valuable, as much as, including myself and probably others as well. And your actual time of the speech was 2 minutes 50 seconds. I don't have any more timings, so thank you.
Thank you, Danka. Now we're looking at the grammarian's report. Perkin, thank you.
Thank you, Antonio. Yeah. Whenever before I come to Toastmaster, I would try to say, hey, what sort of joke I should use, right? I'm going to a constant process of trying to be the next Christopher Columbus. And what do I mean by that? Christopher Columbus just travel around the sea, discover the new jokes of the day. And every time I heard some wonderful jokes, like say from Roberto and from Carl, I now know the next tip. I have to better write it down. Because if I don't write it down, I didn't conquer the land at all. Do you know what I mean? Because every joke I heard, if I use it back, it becomes mine. So let's all be a very good Christopher Columbus in our Toastmaster journey. So as for today's, the word of the day, we have a lot of great usage, right? Including myself, I use once. But there are one winner. And guess who the winner is? Ta-da! Rokon! So Rokon used twice, so thank you so much for using that. So that's excellent. For around the filler words, okay, so there are just basically like the evaluation part as well as the speech part, and not that many mistakes that I've heard, so excellent. Okay, just to give just some more specific detail for, let's say for Carl, somehow there are like some and so, but in general, I didn't heard much filler words, like since I know you from the start of all these speeches, so that was a very great improvement from you. So all the best for your Toastmaster journey afterwards. So excellent. And for Mike, and just that, like you actually use it purposely, so I don't blame. It's like you use and da 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 da. You actually emphasize that, and you also use so once. So that's one. But that's it. That's all I heard. So that was excellent as well. So thank you so much for those two excellent speech and evaluation, and looking forward for your next one.
Thank you, Perkin. Now we're looking at the laugh counters report. I'm introducing Perez.
Thank you, Carl, for your speech. Your speech, what do we have in common? I have a very small and concise report. You made the audience laugh 3 times in the first 3 minutes of your speech. Most of your gasps and all were towards the first 3 minutes of your speech, and then I think after you got comfortable, you did not show as many gasps and all. And that's all about it.
Thank you so much, Perez. Now I'm just going to end off with a little overview, overall view of everybody. I don't have a lot to say. The timing it was a bit late, but it was still wonderful. Everything went smooth. Everything went wonderful because we didn't have a lot of speeches, but it was wonderful. Then the word for the theme, Perkin. Thank you so much. It was excellent. Thank you. And then for the evaluators, Mike, thank you. It was clear and concise and brilliant, and I really want to thank you for that. And then the Toastmaster, Kenneth, thank you for your enthusiasm today. It was really nice. And that's all I have to say. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay. So now we are at the portion where we collect the most enthusiastic Toastmasters. So anyone in the room who you think was most enthusiastic today, if you can write their name down, maybe pass it up to me at the front. We'll do a little recognition of the, so maybe pick a corner and just, rip out a corner. And take a minute to do that. Thank you. Just bring that down.
Carl, congratulations. Thank you.
Start them up. Lots of stuff. All right. Do you want to? Oh yeah, if you can help me.
we got him there.
All right, good stuff. Okay, so it looks like we have a good nominations, but I think we do have a clear winner. Our humor tip master here has the honors.
He was more enthusiastic than me. I was just fine.
It was the gorilla.
Let's take a picture of you presenting it to you, I guess.
As my
So,
daughter would say, fine, be that way.
I'll shake your hand and you could look at the
Enthusiasm, my
camera.
word. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I was
And-
born enthusiastic. What can I do?
And then for our competent communicator, we're very proud to have our first CC of the year, Carl, if you can come up for the honors. Congratulations. So we typically do a nice standing ovation for our CC. Maybe we'll get a picture of that. Actually, Roken, if you come on this side.
Today he has been discovered.
Yeah. And then, you can capture everybody doing a standing ovation. And then, Carl, you could stand here. You can shake my hand, look at the camera, and then we'll capture everybody. Awesome. Good stuff, good stuff. Thank you. Congratulations, Carl.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I think we've captured that. So we'll take a very quick, bio break. If you need to use the facilities, there's water, washrooms, and then after you come back, we'll do the pathways presentation. So just 5 minutes. Keep it quick. I know it's getting late in the day. So.
I actually have to.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, that's why I set up the break.
You guys are very professional. I like the awards. We have to do more.
Yeah, recognition is important. Yeah, for sure. So, glad you made it today.
Yeah, and I like humorous portion.
I like your speech too.
That was good.
Text me before so I can send it to my daughter in Vancouver. She just sent me something, so I'm gonna send her.
I'll send her
The
the
picture
picture.
just over
Okay.
there.
Oh yeah.
She just sent me something. My daughter is in Vancouver. So they sent me the beautiful colors changing in the trees. So I'm gonna say, oh, by the way, look at that. We sent each other pictures.
Your award.
Yeah.
I didn't see you before. This is your first time.
I think I've seen
You see, John? I can't miss the meeting, but I don't know.
I don't come as often as I should.
What is your other language?
My other
Cantonese?
Cantonese. Well, broken Cantonese.
I only know ni hao. Che che.
Oh, that's Mandarin.
Mandarin, right?
Yeah. I think you were saying Michelle was thinking about coming maybe next time.
Oh, Karen. She actually said that she was going to come. She might have canceled last minute because she's a bit busy.
Yeah,
She's usually in this building.
Oh, okay.
But I let her know about the two clubs.
Yes.
The Young Shepherds as well. You're still a Young Shepherd.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm still with that club. So,
I'm the ambassador, and Kenji's the guide.
Okay.
Never
you're the
wrote ambassador.
Ah.
Kenji's the guide.
Okay. I'll get that straight. Okay. Awesome. Oh, thank you. That too. Awesome, man.
Are there? I'm actually thinking the workload it dropped for me and then it came back up again.
Yeah.
But when it drops again, I'd like to go to the various application teams that I work with and co-locate with them on location. So I was wondering if there was an opportunity for me to come here at YC and then
Of course.
if, for example, if Iswar.
Yeah. He's on vacation now, but he'll be back in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He went back to India.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to talk about work in this.
But yeah, for sure, we have space for you.
Okay, thanks. I'll email you.
Yeah, it would be good to spend some time together.
I can buy you lunch or something.
I should buy you a lunch. We'll figure it out.
I still owe you some reports. I'm
Yeah.
working on that this week.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, just keep me posted.
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah, sure. All right, good stuff. I know you're always juggling so many things.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to make it to your next meeting. So it's in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. Awesome, man. It'll be good to see you more often.
Yeah.
If there's anything you want to do, like a joke, speech, whatever, just let me know.
I have to get back on board and do a speech, and I'm gonna try and make it a humorous speech.
Awesome, man. I want to see your humor speech.
It's my cut, but I'm gonna work on it.
Civic Center.
Hey,
So
we all got something to work on, right?
Yeah.
We'll do some washing. Okay.
I had something on Monday, and I canceled that, so now I can do it. Okay, so that's good. And your name is,
I've got a.
So,
got
you have my
but
email.
it was good seeing you guys again. I'm gonna try to make it 2 weeks
so,
from
but
now.
I'll forward Kenneth's details.
Yeah,
Send us a
yeah,
form.
actually, if you send it to Ken, so Ken has all of the
Nice meeting you
emails
guys.
directly
See you guys.
from home.
Yes.
And he actually did, but I thought there was a different date, that was the 7th of Monday. So, I don't know, maybe I would check on that wrong.
Yeah.
He sent it to him, but it's just that.
Yeah. So the contest itself was quite a challenge because a lot of the when you jumped into these roles as president by VP, only had about a month or two to grasp what's the what really mean their position really means, right? So, and then they had to have the contest system, which is quite challenging.
Yeah, just once a year. So you
Oh, yeah.
It was at
Yeah, we're from,
He was in charge of area 15 and 12.
well, it was started by the West Toronto chapter. They brought engineers needed better communication skills. But
Yeah, this
that's starting up by.
yeah, some of the clubs shift.
You'll get more material if you log in. If you get put online. And log into the Toastmasters website.
I know that this.
We actually have time to run through it. Yes.
It's on the 27th.
Is it old North York City Hall? North York City.
But no
But it's a nice environment.
Clicker wireless mouse there.
So you have a you have a file and a Word and
I have a PowerPoint and 2 videos.
Okay.
Yes. What I had done before was have the 2 videos open and start
So you can use this.
Yeah. Yeah, what I'd done was I'd have the presentation open and then have the 2 videos open behind it and then just switch.
Okay.
I guess, yeah, if you're here, you can hold tab because.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it was like I was on like 3 areas. Area buckets, 13, 14. And it was really going to be a single one.
Test that.
Yeah, test it. Yeah, you get enough sense. I have an expert speaker here.
Oh, okay. No, it's because I have the recording on this stuff.